let's call to order the Downtown Development Authority meeting for Monday, August 10th. Do I have a motion for approval of the agenda? Oh, yeah, I didn't see Sierra wasn't there.
No, that's okay. Oh, no, that's okay. She just stepped out for just a moment.
I'll start over.
We should wait on
We
Sierra.
should wait.
I was just
She's
wondering,
kind of
she's
important.
not writing
yeah.
it down.
I mean, I am, but I'm not her.
For a quorum, we're good? Yes, so this is minimum for a quorum, so you'll
All right. Sierra, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I'm going to call to order the meeting for Downtown Development Authority for Monday, August 10th. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Can I get a motion for approval of minutes for today, or the minutes for the July 2026 meeting?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none. All right, old business. Consideration to approve a new logo for the Town of Tyrone Development Authority. Philip Troquet, Assistant Town Manager.
So, we've already had this discussion, but we, at the last meeting, got some direction from members of the board for the logo to be more of a shamrock shape for the new logo. And this is what kind of seemed to be the consensus after we threw around some different iterations. So we, Katie, rather, came up with this shamrock kind of logo for the DDA. Incorporates all the same elements as the previous one, no color changes, and some slight modifications to the pavilion to kind of make it a little bit more accurate. But this is what we have, and we're looking for final approval, and we can put it on the website and get it all taken care of.
And Jenny, I know you weren't here, but Katie had worked up a couple of options, and one of them was a little more squared. Didn't look quite like the clover, so.
Looks good, that looks good, good idea.
I move to accept it.
Yeah, I agree.
I love the colors, and I like the things that were chosen to go in the leaves. It's just a note at the top of that page there.
Okay.
Building a pro-business identify. I think it's.
That should be identity.
Oh, yes, okay.
Not that it but I just didn't know if it was just
No,
gonna keep
thank you.
rolling
No, this
along.
this
Yeah.
will be kind of like our reference document, so
Okay.
yeah, we'll make sure that gets changed.
We get shirts made up with?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we have a little bit of a budget for that, so I can get some ordered. And
I think embroidery might be a little too much, but can we screen print that? Is that possible?
Yeah, I think so.
Direct to film is the new
Yeah.
craze.
You have to say it that right.
Yeah.
I heard
All right, so we have a motion to, from Ernie to approve this logo from Katie.
Second.
Second, Lucy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Seeing none. Moving on. And, sorry, was this moving on to new business?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to new business. Philip?
Okay, yeah, so the next item is a consideration to approve a contract with Night Market LLC with Mr. Jason Bass. This contract is substantively the same as our previous one. We did change the date, obviously, which is September 18th of this year. And another item that we had some discussion about was sponsorship revenue. So in this contract, we have a revision that in the event revenue is produced as a result of the event, sponsorship, of event sponsorship, all compensation due to the sponsorship coordinator for the agreed-upon rate shall first be deducted from the gross revenue. So that's, if you're familiar with Octavia, we've had discussions, that's who Jason uses for sponsorship coordination. So she has a percentage that goes to her. The remaining net sponsorship revenue shall be divided equally, with 50% payable to Night Market and 50% payable to the authority. The authority shall remit its share first to municipal costs incurred by the town in connection with the event, and may retain any balance after such costs are satisfied. So we, currently, that language was that municipal costs get offset, so he would be writing a check to us and to the town, and so this makes it such that authority would get a share of that revenue, and that it's our responsibility to offset whatever the town's costs were for EMT, police presence, any public works presence that was there, things like that.
And bathrooms and all that, right?
Yes, we would still have the responsibility in this contract to supply restrooms, facilities as well.
Not to make money, because I don't think it's really an event to make money, I think it's to draw the people to the event, but I don't think we should be going in the hole
Right.
at all, and I think this puts us in the hole,
You
the way
think
it's written now.
it puts us in the hole? Okay.
I mean, I think we're gonna lose money every time we do this, because we're gonna be paying for the police, we're gonna be doing all that, he's not gonna have the profit. There's not gonna be enough profit right now to offset our expense. So, and we're agreeing to cover
How
it.
did it work last time in terms of the money?
Oh, so last time from sponsorship, so from any kind of revenue that's generated from the vendors, anything like that, that went to Night Market. The sponsorship money was something that, in the last contract, it was supposed to come to the town first to offset any of our costs. And then it said municipal costs, so it wasn't clear whether or not that was DDA and the town, but it was just to offset. It said first and foremost to just offset municipal costs, and then the remainder would go to him. So that interpretation would be that basically it would just offset.
Well, I guess my question
remember
is
that
the
previous
money.
language.
So were there enough dollars if you handled it this way? Were there enough dollars to cover everybody and then give him?
Based off of the last sponsorship revenue, I think the net revenue out of the last round of sponsorships was maybe $3,000. So the municipal costs, so city costs were about $1,200, $1,300, and then our cost for the bathrooms at that point, which we kind of over-ordered some bathrooms in retrospect, but it was $1,700. So so it basically just, based on the amount of revenue that he was
almost
able to pull,
break
it was
even.
basically a break-even scenario. But that was him going after sponsorships for a very brief period of time. He said that was a low amount of sponsorship money that he would be generating.
He discounted every sponsor for the June event.
Yeah, so.
Because it was the first one in Tyrone and they weren't sure how well it would do. The presenting sponsor was $3,500 for the last one.
Yeah.
It was $5,000 for the next one.
So my understanding is that this language is coming from a position of trying to get us a little bit more of that revenue, but also trying to be fair to him about him retaining, a little bit more money, because he is not able, these events in Tyrone are not necessarily as large or perhaps as profitable as the Peachtree City ones. So that was kind of where this language had come
Well,
from.
it's new as well, so and
Yeah.
he's gotta take that.
Well, and this is obviously
Consideration.
for one event, so I say see how it goes and
Right.
then you can.
Just the only reason I'm kind of stuck on this is because it would seem fair before, and not for us to bring an income, but we're not renting him the space at all. You know what I mean? He's building something on a free platform, and then not paying for the expenses, and we are, which is fine. As long as, but I feel like we should break even and not have to go in a hole. And I think the way this is written now, we go in a hole.
Well, could it
Based
be
on the numbers
written
he made
that-
last time.
It's a potential, with a 50-50 split, it's a potential that we make money, depending on how,
Right.
it's all dependent on how much sponsorship revenue comes in. And really, the previous arrangement was that way as well, it's all dependent, whether we got recouped or not, it was all dependent on how much sponsorship revenue comes in, so.
Well, just out of curiosity, since we're still at the brand new stage, could we just leave it like it was under the old agreement for one more month and then change the next month?
Yeah, we can absolutely do, I was directed to put this language in here this
Or
way.
can you put a caveat in there that a minimum of covering cost?
I think is the way it was drafted before. First, everything gets paid back to the
Right.
town and the DDA, and then make it the split. Right.
Jason wanted a cap 2 weeks ago, $500, and I shut it down in about
2,500 for us to, yeah,
That's the most we would ever get, and our costs were 2,900 on the last
right,
event.
exactly,
So-
we go and,
And the DDA cap would include the town, was, basis, town expenses, so.
So how, when he operates in Peachtree City, is he renting any space or is it the same?
It's Drake Field, so it's public, he's not. They have, in Peachtree City, he built all the towers that hold the string lights up out of wood and stained them. He bought the materials and built them, his crew, and set them up, and Peachtree City came to him and said, if they're gonna be used at our field, we're going to own them and you'll rent them from us every time you use them. We are getting money off of him, ironically, from a piece of product that he made himself.
he did, yeah.
But in order to use it at their park, they make him pay money. So they get some money, I don't know if he has to lease the field or not, or the venue, but I just know that he is treating the September 18th night market as though it was in Peachtree City. The price,
Sponsorship prices.
sponsorships and all that, he has gone to full price, same as Peachtree City, so. There'll be more money coming in on this event that can be shared with the DDA but I certainly didn't want to cap it at $2,500. I don't mind a cap, but, you know,
Yeah.
$10,000, yeah. You know, but obviously he was fine with that. The language we have here does not include a cap. And I do know there'll be more revenue from sponsorship money on this next last. So this could do more than break even for us, but, you know, I think that the DDA, bearing all of the cost that the town had to bear, you know, make sure that, you know, hire the restroom people to come in. Y'all coordinate with staff to be there, EMT and all that, but, you know, all those expenses could be paid from the DDA or
Right.
reimbursed to the town from the DDA. I'm not sure about that part, but the way it reads, I think we get the money and make
Yeah,
sure
and
y'all
then
get
we,
your cut.
we would coordinate with squaring up with the town. I have the previous language here, it was really just one sentence. It says, in the event that revenue is produced as a result of event sponsorship, that income shall be used to offset municipal costs. So that can be interpreted as us being municipal costs and the town. But that would, and then that would leave the remainder is something that he would retain. So it's entirely, that only leaves room for a break-even scenario for the DDA. It doesn't
Are
leave
we-
room for us to make any
Are we
money.
doing the event for the town to draw people down and awareness and, you know, support our vendors and all that? Or are we trying to make it a money-making deal? Because, you know what I mean? I feel like we shouldn't come out of pocket to
Economic-
pay for anything, but if it covers it up, that's fine, you know?
Economic growth is number one.
Right.
Revenue is our means of getting there. So,
But supporting
you
our
know,
town vendors.
we don't want to be losing money on an event. As far as making money, I don't think any of us saw night market as a major revenue
Right.
stream, but certainly don't want it to be a loss leader,
Right.
you know, so, and it does drive economic
Yeah.
growth. You know, there's a lot of money going back into this town and surrounding towns also, but, anyway, so that's kind of where I stand. I don't mind if we had a cap. That's not here today. But, if we can make some money on this, that is a goal of mine.
Yeah.
And I think it should be a goal of ours is to make a little bit, but certainly not lose any.
Right, don't lose any.
If we get some language that protects us from the loss of any money, and I think the way it's written, we should be okay, especially with the sponsorship dollars increasing
Going up.
this time.
Because I haven't looked at this language before, just right now, so I need to ask a question here. The sponsorship coordinator, that's night market, right?
It's, so
Octavia Samuels?
Okay.
he retains somebody for that.
So in the event that there is revenue, it first goes to the sponsorship coordinator for her expenses. But aren't they also retaining all of the fees that come in from the vendors and all of the acts? So they're already retaining all of that, right? And now the first cut goes to the sponsorship coordinator, which is night market, at the agreed upon rate, and then what's left over is split 50-50. Would we not, that first sentence, send that first round of, the event that there is some, into the DDA and not the sponsorship coordinator? I think that would fix the problem, and then what's left over is split 50-50.
Now, what
I think she
language-
works for him.
Which I get, I do,
He
but
turns enough to go out and get more.
when we agreed to the fee split and all of those costs for vendors and acts going straight to night market, this was the place that we were gonna recover the costs that were spent by us. And I don't have a problem with DDA not making an income at all, but we should cover our costs.
Right.
I'll
That's
just
what
note
I'm saying.
Right.
for the sponsorship coordinator though, I mean, like, we don't get any revenue if she doesn't work.
Right.
So I do think that in fairness, she should have her costs, like if she has
Off the top.
if she has a percentage that goes to her, because it doesn't go directly
get
to night
20%?
market. I think it's something like
Yeah, I
that.
think she has a percentage
Okay.
she gets.
Yeah, if it's not going directly to night market, it's going to her organization, whatever business that she's running. He coordinates who the coordinator for sponsorship is gonna be. But I do believe that she should be retaining that amount, of whatever her contract is, because without her doing the work, then the sponsorship money doesn't
She's a
exist.
contractor.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
for
then,
Night market.
after we take care of her payments, then we take care of the DDA, and then the remaining is split 50-50.
Well, that's supposedly the way it is now.
Well, right now, the contract simply states that any revenue that's produced as a result of event sponsorship shall be used to offset municipal costs. So that just means if there's an amount of money that's available, that comes out of that, and it was an assumption that she would get her percentage. So whatever comes after her percentage, it's basically recouping the town, recouping the DDA, and then he would retain the remainder of that money.
So if you did say, if you just added that stipulation that municipal costs
Our
paid
next.
and then
And then the
50-50, then you are assured of covering your cost.
Well,
And there shouldn't be,
if enough event sponsorship money comes in.
correct.
Because there may not be enough, it may only be, let's just say it's only $3,500 of event sponsorship money, then the town would, or the DDA would lose money, because then it would just be,
But there's
amount
nothing
would
you're
go to
gonna
the
do
town.
about that.
That's what we call a flop.
Yeah.
Do we have
But we at least
that
get paid
number
before
from
the
last-
50 split.
last event, you said, we have the EMTs, the
Yeah,
police.
we have all of those hard costs, and,
Okay.
yeah, identified.
We brought
We
in
know what that is.
3, spent 1,200 on the city with,
Right.
that's EMT, staff, public works staff, and security. And
Well,
then we spent 1,700 on the bathroom, so we spent
And I
29.
think we'll be able to work on that.
Yeah, because
And
I
executive
can
session.
also create a fixed amount that's pretty regular. Like, I calculated if we had all of our staff on overtime, which we didn't, but at the maximum cost of doing exactly what we did, that would be $1,500 for the town. And it would not really ever exceed $1,500.
And then
So
toilets
that
on
can,
top of
that can be a fixed amount that we put in there, and I'm sure the town would be comfortable with that, because that's a fixed amount that would cover regardless of what, situation exists. And then, our cost couldn't be entirely fixed, but it's basically just the bathrooms is the cost. So,
So if they don't make over, what was it, $3,400, then we're in the hole.
right.
What's
And
the
so-
total of restrooms that were rented?
We had 8 restrooms and 2 hand wash stations. We maybe could do with less than that this next year, or this next event. So we can cut our costs on that, I'm sure. Part of the discussion about why the sponsorship money is so important to Jason for these events is because, from my understanding and my conversation with him, was that these events are smaller, he doesn't make as much revenue from vendors and things like that. And in order for this, from a Night Market LLC perspective, to be profitable, he would need a little bit larger percentage of the sponsorship revenue to make this worth it for him to continue to do. So that's why there's a discussion about how sponsorship money is due. Is because this is kind of the only area of him being able to kind of expand profitability for him to be able to continue to do.
Very, very thin line. It's having the statement Philip just made is very true on
Yeah.
Jason's half. And then, you know, speaking, again, I speak about the sponsors thing a lot, but as a sponsor, it's borderline big enough for his ask. For him, it's borderline big enough for him to make a profit, so he's wanting more sponsor
Yeah.
money, and it's borderline not a wise decision to spend more on it because it's not as big of an event, you know what I mean? So it's kind of, it's a,
Can we cover our fixed costs and hope and pray that we'll make enough to cover the restrooms? And we can work on that, because there's some other options we can discuss later, but.
So basically, the previous language, which is, in the event that revenue is produced, that income shall be used to offset, and I would just be more specific, town
A
and
max of
authority costs.
Yeah,
Because it says municipal, which can be assumed as both the town and the DDA, but we have town and authority defined in the contract, so we could just say that income shall be used to offset town and authority costs,
that way he'll have a fixed number, like, hey, I need to have this many sponsors to cover that.
and then the remainder would go to him. And it
Or
would
is
just,
it the
or
50/50
50/50.
split?
Or
Or it-
50/50 it,
and then it's a 50/50 split
After that.
after that.
correct.
Okay. I don't know if there's enough money in there for that to be attractive to him in terms of sponsorship revenue, but we can always put it in and we can see.
Kind of the same thing we had. But we're fixing it, so the town's covered, municipal part. We'll have to take care of the bathrooms out of the maybe profit, that we get the 50%. And last time, we would have covered it, right? He made over $3,400.
Yeah, I think the net sponsorship revenue was 3,400. I don't, if, given that amount, I don't know if any went back to him.
I think we can work on the toilet thing.
yeah, I think so too.
Expense.
I've got a good friend in that business.
So income shall offset, it'll go to Octavia or event sponsorship. The remainder will offset town and authority costs, and then the amount after that will be split 50/50 between the authority and.
I think that's fair. And really, you said you have a max of whatever it was, $1,500 or whatever, for the town expenses?
Yes,
So,
that would be the.
That way he
town's
knows, he has a
maximum.
fixed number to work with. I mean, it's like, hey, it's open-ended, we don't know what the municipal's gonna do, we're gonna,
Right.
you know, we got 8 more cops on this time, so.
Based on how it was written last time and possibly even this time, I believe that our net would be closer to 4,000.
Okay.
If it was 3,000, and I know how much he's going up on all the
Yeah.
sponsors, taking out Octavia and all that other stuff, I think we would probably net or gross closer to 4 on the just a educated guess. We would, you know, we would certainly not lose money or break even. We would have $1,000.
Surplus.
So I think that it's, I think that September would be the true test for both the sponsors and for Night Market on the financial piece. If we go to this new model, he's going to higher fees. We're doing the split like this. I think we're all gonna see more money. I don't know. what all costs Jason has. You know, he's hiring bands. He won't have to, here's another good point. Last time he had to bring in a sound guy to set up all this stuff, but I was told that in September he won't have to do that.
He'll have, he'll still have to have a sound guy, but he may have, the sound guy may give him a bigger discount because we have existing speakers and stuff there.
Right.
As well as lighting. So, yeah, I don't know what that difference delta would be, but, yeah, he'll still have to have a guy, but he can utilize a lot of our equipment there, so it can be probably lower cost.
And most of his staff is volunteer, so he doesn't have a lot of staff cost. But I do know he has cost in this event, probably as much, if not more, than the DDA. So although I did say, you know, I shut that idea of a $2,500 cap down the other day, I do want this to be, it has to make sense for everybody, or it won't go on. So, you know, I want to be flexible with this. But at the same time, like I said, don't lose money. So I think the way it's worded right now, recapping, Octavia gets her percentage that's agreed upon between them. We have no control over that. The town/authority gets its cost covered. Remainder, that's the one that's really hard to figure out, both for us and for Jason.
Want it to be 50/50?
I'd say,
Can you present it to him? And
I will note, just from a timing perspective, this event was on September 18th. We technically can approve this contract at our second meeting in September, which would be the 7th. Or, I mean, our first meeting, our only meeting in September, which would be the 7th. But he would have already begun, he really wanted to begin, I'm sure, the advertisement and sponsorship process for this already. Because we're now running into the same amount of time for sponsorship currently as he had in
And
the
this is just,
last one.
this is a fixed date.
Yes, so, yeah,
Rolling.
yeah, this is just a fixed date, so.
Can we, I mean, we can do this, I just don't want us to lose money.
Right,
And I don't see us losing money with the increase in his fees, and no one wants, you know, he doesn't want to either. And I know it's time, so of the essence right now. We can approve this knowing that we may change the next one, and can we get with him and talk to him about maybe adding, hey, we have a fixed, it'll never be more than this for the municipal cost.
yes, we can have that conversation, it would be,
He
I
may
know
say,
for the town, it would be
"Heck no."
$1,500, and for us, it would, if we're looking at doing less restrooms, it would probably be something similar, like $1,200 to $1,500. So, I mean, grand total, the fixed municipal cost amount would be $3,000. I mean, that could be for between the town and the authority. So, that could be a number that we put in there is, you know, it's 3,000. And he can bank on that and we can go from there. But, yeah.
It's easier for him to work with fixed.
it's really a question of, after all the dust settles, how much, if any, how much do we want to bring in from this? We've got to, I think, the approach of making this a one-off for September with the understanding with Jason, it could change for the next one. But I think that we need to try to take steps each time towards making this event better for everybody. The event was amazing. I enjoyed it. And I'd love to see it become a staple in the town. We got to get there, though. And so where do we need to be after we pay our expenses to say we didn't lose money? Okay about it. I mean, do we say we want to cover our expenses and then say we want this much on top of our expenses and put a cap on that maybe, just for this next event? On our expenses plus $700 or whatever it may be.
I think you just want your expenses, and then if there's something to split 50/50.
Yeah.
That's what he says here.
Yeah.
But it doesn't cover our expenses. So.
Well, we don't know that
But this
yet.
time we will. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll have to. And are we willing to do that just to keep it going and not have to maybe postpone or whatever?
I think also everybody came to that first one to see how it's gonna be.
Right.
And now there's a word of mouth and momentum, and
The vendors
there'll
loved
be
it.
a lot
I mean,
more
it was-
people. Everybody's back in school, everybody's home from vacation.
And the weather should
And
be
the weather, yeah.
nicer.
I think we'll
Not
have a
as
lot more
hot.
people.
Hurricane season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect.
right.
But I think we'll have a lot more people, so we may want to just ride this one and let sponsors get enthused. Oh, that was really, and then the
We're not
next one,
raising their
the next
fees
one will
or
be
anything like
easier
that,
for
yeah.
Jason to get sponsors if we do it again, because
Right.
there's momentum.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear on what direction. So from a motion perspective, so we want this language to be that the coordinator gets their percentage, town's costs are covered, authority's costs are covered, remainder is split 50-50 between the authority and night market.
I think so.
And we're hoping that there's enough there to cover toilets.
If you're okay with that, I will make sure that that language, and I'll work with Ally to make sure that that language is put in here. And if you want to approve the contract based on that, with that condition, then we can move
I would do
forward
it
on that.
as a fixed number, so it's not, if you know what that is, it won't be not to exceed $1,500, whatever it is. Put that in there.
Okay.
That'll give him a number that he needs,
Sure.
he can work with.
That
You
way
know, well,
there's
heck,
less mystery,
Yeah, hey, I've already got that covered with this, row of sponsors.
then he
and-
knows what his 50% would be.
Correct.
He can make an educated answer on it.
Yeah, it would be,
Fixed
Not-
cost not to exceed.
it would be a
X.
fixed cost not to exceed, basically $3,000 for both the town and the authorities. Fixed costs, yeah.
Just knowing as we move forward in the future, putting in a fixed cost
That
as
could
prices
change.
increase around you could be a problem.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
a fixed number for this one agreement might work.
Okay.
But in 5 years from now, when it's a wild success, $3,000 won't be a practical number.
No, it would be, 3,000 would probably be our fixed cost for this year. Like this next year would probably, but yeah, after that, she's right, yeah.
It's just a lot easier to not put in a fixed cost in writing in a document like this.
I can always give him those fixed costs afterwards. We could say, we're gonna cover our authority and town costs. Here's what they were last time, bank on this being the maximum that you would ever
And
have
I
to
don't,
outlay.
is there a way to say it where without the fixed cost, we can take the fixed cost side out of us with the 50-50 split, which is what he's saying.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to protect us from that. Like, is there a way to word it that,
Well, the 50,
I mean, we'd never know because we're not running the numbers and we're not doing the sponsorships. So is there a way to say, hey, the way it's written right now, 50-50, but 50 from our side, I mean, the fixed cost from our side can come out of that 50. Because he needs to make money.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, that's kind of how we have it. Well, yes, I guess you could word it that way, that our 50, well, the way that, this is how you would word it then. You would say that.
Out of our 50%
Sponsorship
so-
coordinator, and then town costs are recouped. Then basically the authority and night market split the remainder 50-50. And then as a result of that, whatever our costs are would come out of that 50% split, which is kind of what we have here.
Yeah, that's what he has, more or less.
We just have here that everything is split 50-50. Everything's split 50-50, and then we're paying the town costs and our costs coming out of our 50%.
Which that's fine. I don't think that shouldn't be a problem. I just want to make sure we cover it.
You're just making an assumption that there's going to be enough to cover it.
Yes.
Right.
Unless you add the line where we cover those costs first.
And that's what,
Somehow,
Right.
if there's not, if there's not enough to cover, it's got to come from some of him too.
And we don't want to be subsidizing a money-making venture for any private group.
Correct.
We want to make sure we get all of our costs recouped.
Correct.
So the former language is the way to do that, which is town and authority costs are covered first, then the remainder is split 50/50.
Octavia
Octavia, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
The
sponsor,
town-
coordinator first,
first.
then town and authority costs covered, then 50/50 split.
I don't even think the authority costs need to be in there, just town costs. We can cover the bathroom out of 50/50. And that's our duty to get a better price on duty.
Well, I mean, if that's a decision that you want to make, but
Fine with that.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it's all, you know.
it's gonna wash out.
You know, this next event, biggest priority, I think, would be to cover our costs, break even at a minimum.
At a minimum.
And there's risk involved here for Jason. If he says yes to this, he's got his stuff to pay out of his split, just like we do.
Right.
Not knowing what the total dollar amount will be brought in from this event.
That's why you wrote it
There's
like
no
that.
way to know what 50% will represent. So it's a risk for everybody that agrees to a percentage of a number they don't know.
Right.
It's a risk.
so,
You know, and if Jason looks at it and says, I can't make myself whole doing it this way, we either don't get night market again, or we agree to something that keeps. We do have to cover our costs, I know that, but as a business owner, he has to cover his
Oh, yeah,
too, or he
no
won't come
doubt.
back. So, you know, I think anytime there's risk involved, if it's a fair negotiation, each party should be sharing that risk, you know, and at 50/50, you are sharing that risk. It's a matter of, you know, are you really protected?
so coordinator first, then town costs.
Yeah.
Then the remainder gets split 50/50. And then whatever our costs are come out of our 50%.
Yes. And then on the wording, it would be town cost first. And, I mean, Octavia in town, like you said, and then that DDA, just be sure it's worded that we are separate from the town, that
Right.
out of our half.
It
we
already
cover
That's
is.
our-
why
It's
that,
documented.
that's how we
That's
would have
town.
that worded. Okay.
So the authority costs are electrical and the infrastructure necessary to support the acts and the food trucks.
And supplemental restroom costs, which are, I think, somewhere else.
Say that again, Ally, please. I got it.
If you look in the contract, you've
Yeah.
got letter C is our costs.
Yeah.
So I know number 8 is your electrical and the other infrastructure. You've got temporary restrooms at number 9. And you've got designation of areas. That shouldn't be terribly, except there may be some workforce expenses there for people to get out and put the flags up. But those are the costs that the authority is agreeing to cover.
Well, if one of you wants to make a motion with that condition amendment to the contract, then we will have that written up and we will send it over to Jason.
I'll make a motion that we draft a contract between Tyrone Downtown Development Authority and Night Market LLC, that in the event that revenue is produced as a result of event sponsorship, all compensation due to the sponsorship coordinator at the agreed-upon rate shall first be deducted from gross sponsorship revenue. Remaining net sponsorship revenue shall be deducted, pay the town of Tyrone for its cost associated to the event, and that the remaining revenue from sponsorship money would be split 50/50 between the Downtown Development Authority and Night Market LLC, and that the Downtown Development Authority would cover its cost out of its 50%.
Okay, very good.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Whew, that was fun.
Very good.
Okay.
So the last item that I have is, and I apologize because we had not heard back from Mr. Milliken, a memorandum of understanding for the development of the Clark property. Yes, sir.
We've heard back.
Yes, no, I understand. So So that's a separate item from the MOU. We had a draft version of the MOU, and I apologize, we can put this onto our next meeting because it doesn't necessarily have to occur now. But we had a draft version of that MOU, that basically just outlined that we'll work in good faith toward the development of this property. It outlined kind of working on the bathroom and things like that. We had sent that to Mr. Milliken for his review, and he had requested that there be reference to a phase 2 associated with the police and fire station property. We do not have full control over the police station property, so it didn't seem prudent to have that included in the MOU. So we've kind of put it back to its original terms of it just being for the Clark property. And we can work on a separate MOU for that when it's all kind of buttoned up and more in our control. If the Public Facilities Authority transferred ownership to the DDA, there's some rezoning things that I know that y'all want to do with that property and get it all kind of in a position to do something with. So, which would probably be, at that point, after that's all done, that's when an MOU would be appropriate there. So we can either, and my recommendation would actually be to table this to the next meeting, or if you're comfortable approving the MOU, an MOU that just stipulates, our terms for just this property, we can go forward.
To pull it up or just discuss the
Yeah, I
points
have it
of
on
or-
this computer, but I don't have it on that computer. So let me see if I can get it pulled up. Apologize, it just didn't make it into the packet. Bear with me while I sign in.
Thank you.
So, so you're gonna see, this is I have a clean version, but this is a marked up version of this document. So it would be an MOU that goes through, which terms. The first item was that we wanted to make sure that we defined the actual legal entity that he'll be using to do this under. And so he had some language is a little bit more general, just said an entity under his control. We do need like an actually duly registered company. So that was some red lines that we kind of reestablished from the original version. And then there's reference to phase 2, which he had added here in the blue that I have in red underlined that had been stricken. But phase 2 is essentially outlining everything that is going on with the fire station and police property. So any area where phase 2 is referenced, we've just eliminated that. Definition of what's phase 2 is referenced there. Same thing here about phase 2 and working towards phase 2. Stipulations about how the DDA would, after we retain ownership, that we'd work towards phase 2. So a lot of this was stricken, and it's not because we don't necessarily want to work on phase 2. It's just, again, trying to keep it focused on the Clark property specifically. But then in this MOU, there was a stipulation about a public restroom and the development or creation of a public restroom on the property, and how we would work towards that. Design collaboration, that the DDA would be involved in design collaboration. Um, And more about the DDA board action, that, you are the ones that are in control of this agreement. It's not any individual member of the board makes this deal with him. It's y'all as a collective body. Intent to negotiate, that we have an intention to negotiate, which we've already engaged in. And then that we would have exclusive negotiation with him on this property while the MOU is in place. And then he wanted a solid date for the end of the MOU as opposed to a 6-month period that was previously stated. We're fine with that. We can replace 6 months with an actual solid date. So that is, that's the nature of the changes, kind of some of the back and forth that we did on that MOU. I have a clean version of that here. That just, it doesn't have any of those red lines. It's just a clean. So I do, and Ally can speak more to this. I want to be clear about the MOU. The MOU doesn't stop us from having negotiations with him. The MOU doesn't stop us from continuing to, try and work on that property. This is just a statement, a little bit more for him even than us, of saying that we want to work in good faith and that this is something that we are on, and we're not going to just repeal the MOU to do that. So, yeah, it doesn't slow anything down. We can approve it as is with these changes, or, under this version that I have in front of you, or we can wait until the next meeting. But again, it doesn't necessarily stop us from continuing our process on that property.
I have reviewed this version of the MOU. All 3 or 4 versions I've reviewed, and this is, I think this is the best version I've seen that really iterates the town's point of view and David's point of view. And I do agree that taking the language of phase 2 out is not in our control entirely.
Yeah.
We all know we have the intentions of going forward with a phase 2, especially if phase 1 goes great. Foolish not to, But I think that the way it's drafted here, if David were to sign this, I would, if, place to sign. So, do I have any questions about it?
Are we going to executive session?
Don't believe we have an executive session today.
He had a response to us, right?
Yes, on another item regarding,
Tracy called and said, want to go over some points, that because he wasn't going to be able to be here, to go over some points he thought we were going to cover in executive session, which would affect this.
it could. Again, it sounds like we should probably table this. I don't want this to be something that we feel like we need to include those elements into, because again, the MOU doesn't have to have, the stipulation of, purchase price or any of that.
Yeah, yeah.
In order for it to be on the book. It's just simply a written statement, like a.
Says we're working with you.
Yeah,
Like
we're
just like
willing
it's just a declaration of intent, basically. And Mr. Milliken wanted those changes reflected here. I don't want anybody to feel like this is a contract. This is not a contract. It doesn't have that level of formality.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I mean,
it
I'm all right
does-
with the way
It does say that either party can back out.
Yeah,
Right, it's not,
Yeah, I think it's fine.
it's just a good faith agreement to work.
right. To work with him right now.
Right, so
Yeah.
any other details that come forth after this are just details that are not here right now.
We're just negotiating, yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't limit us. Again, it references the restroom in there, it references things, but it's not a limiting factor. It just simply, at this point in time, we've talked about these things, we want to work. That's subject to change.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Um, Do we have a motion to approve this MOU?
I'll make a motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Seeing none, motion passes for the MOU.
And just to be clear, this is the red line version that we just looked at. 'Cause
Yes.
I know there are others out there.
Yes. It's one with your response.
Okay, moving on, we have a public comment section. Do you have any public comments? What's your name again? Newspaper man. All right.
Newspaper man.
Dylan Schuman. Good
With
to
Bay
see
County
you.
News.
Thanks for being here.
Hey, what's the status of the Scarborough property over here? And,
So it's in development.
I know,
right
yeah.
now.
There's no trees.
They got their land disturbance permit, and so they're clearing trees and they're going in and they're gonna start doing some pretty heavy grading.
How is the development supposed to be?
So it'll be two sides of the subdivision. It's called Ardmore subdivision,
So
and it's all.
split by the street?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
split by the street, and it's gonna have, it's all single-family homes.
Right.
So there's a lot of people think it's all apartments and townhomes. There was an early iteration of discussions where there was some small amount of townhomes that were integrated at first, but that has subsequently gone away, so it's all single-family. The one on the south side, so it's adjacent to Arrowwood Road, that portion, will have a multi-use trail that kind of goes into it, and then we'll have a central park. And then on the north side, they'll have more multi-use trails that go into it. They'll actually have a commercial out parcel that's at the corner, kind of at the roundabout, as well as another kind of green space park area, kind of adjacent to the roundabout. Most of, all of the homes, well, there are some interior lots that are so there are some homes that are around the perimeter of the subdivision, and then there's some that are on the interior. All of the interior lots will be accessed by a rear alleyway, so they won't have any front-facing garages.
Right.
And then all of the ones on the perimeter, again, are not permitted to have street-facing garages, so they'll either be side entry or recessed garages for those homes.
How many entrances or exits off either?
So they'll have an entrance and an exit off of every road they touch. So
Okay,
they'll have an
Arrowwood,
entrance
Palmetto.
and exit off of Spencer for the north, and then for the north portion and on to Palmetto. And then the south portion will also have an entrance on and off of Palmetto and onto Arrowwood.
Arrowwood.
The south also has a dedicated right-of-way portion for a future road connection coming into downtown. So the next developer will have to pick up that connection and either make an interparcel or a full roadway connection. The property directly behind Town Hall here. So the whole design for street networks in downtown is for
How many,
connectivity.
homes is it total?
I believe it's a total of 104 or 106 total homes.
Like 40 right here, right?
But,
Right behind us?
on this side, yeah, it's gonna be, no, the south side's a little bit larger. So I think the south side has like 55 or 60.
Square footage, does it have a minimum?
Yeah, we have minimum square footages of 1,500 square feet for each home. So that's gonna be the minimum. I don't know what perimeter lots will be larger homes because they're a little bit larger lots. But I don't know exactly the size. I think they're probably gonna be anywhere between 2,000 and 3,000.
It's not a 55 and old or anything like that, it's just regular.
No, it all depends on how they decide to market the subdivision. They may try and market it as, 55 and older, but it was not approved in zoning or the site plan or anything like that as.
I know
as
that was some
age restricted.
discussion a long time ago, I didn't.
So you said there was gonna be a connection right here?
Eventually, there will be a connection that comes through here. So this property that's behind us has not been developed, but per some of our downtown plans and zoning and things like that, we've integrated that there needs to be either roadway or interparcel connectivity between these developments to allow for traffic dispersion. So they do have a segment of their of right-of-way that's dedicated on the south end of that development that leads directly into the property behind us.
Nice.
So when this property behind us develops, they'll have to integrate that connection into their site plan and design.
And it dumps out right here on the other side.
Yeah, it would,
Yes.
we would have it pull through to Sonoy Road, that's the intention. So it can be a roadway connection, or it can be a multi-use path connection, preferably roadway, because that would include also pedestrian and multi-use, but if for whatever reason it needs to be multi-use, that would get sorted out during the site plan process for planning commission.
Speaking of multi-use, how is the multi-use path, like where are golf carts supposed to currently be riding? On the sidewalk or on the street?
On Sonoy Road. So in Sonoy Road, in the downtown area where the speed limit is 30 miles an hour, golf carts can ride on the street. They don't have to, they can ride on the sidewalk, but the intention is for golf carts to be able to drive on the street for the segment of Sonoy Road where it's 30. And then, so that's basically from East Crestwood, that intersection, all the way down to Spazano's where it, picks up into a
Yes.
multi-use trail again.
So
So-
will the town be widening the sidewalk,
So
be sort of a multi-use?
yeah, so that was one of our that's the entire second Livable Centers initiative that we did, was the design and trying to make sure logistically how we would fit a multi-use trail all the way through downtown. And so, yes, that's in our long-range plans. We've applied for some federal money for that. We didn't get it this round, but we'll pursue it the next round for what they call the Transportation Improvement Program. And so we will be applying for that, but it's a over $10 million project, so we're gonna rely pretty heavily on grant money for that.
Is that posted anywhere?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm
It's on our
tired of
website.
getting honked at and waving back with my one finger.
Mhm.
It happens all the time. I mean, we're on
Oh,
the-
you mean the signage? Yes.
We're on the
It-
road
sit-
and people, it's double yellow, I get it, they don't want to pass, but I'm in my golf cart and I have the right to be here, so
Sitting
they don't
in,
know.
yeah, sitting in Scott's office right now are all the signs that are gonna be put up on Sonoy Road. So we'll have, just after, across from the Dollar General, there's gonna be a sign for Share the Road.
Yep.
It's gonna be for bikes and golf carts, and then, so there'll be one there. There will be two going either direction on Sonoya at Castlewood at that intersection, and then there'll be another one as you're entering into downtown, down at Crestwood. Yep.
The air horn scares the crap out of them too, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah,
Because they honk and then I'm nice right back.
there you go.
That's the noise I'm hearing out.
That's, it is, it's probably right about your house too.
You.
All right, any other staff comments? Board comments? No need for an executive session today.
We have approval of the minutes from our last executive session. See,
Right,
Pass them out.
okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our executive session on July 20th, 2026?
Motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Seeing none? All right, so the minutes are approved from our last executive session. Sign anything or just wait on Tracy?
Get some pictures on there for you.
Thank you, Sierra. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
So,
Meeting is adjourned.